the final week of Digital Leap. It's awesome that you've all come this far, and thank you so much again for all your participation in the project. Really delighted to have Melik and Stephen from FDM here tonight. I'll talk to you in a moment about the hackathon that we're doing to sort of finish off the whole project really. What I'd like to think really tonight is a culmination of all the skills that you've learned along the way. So you've learned about Agile and Scrum and how to work as part of a team. In sprints, you've learned some coding along the way. You've learned about what kind of skills these guys will be looking for from you. You've learned about the kinds of jobs which are out there. You've kind of learned about the idea of trying to solve problems using innovation and teamwork and leadership really. So I'd like to think tonight's a bit of a celebration of all of those skills that you've learned and actually putting them into practice in kind of a fun activity, a bit like what we did last week of course as well. At this point I know that I've sent you all an email to allocate you to all your different companies for the reward experience. So far I think I'm aware that 1010 have organised a date. I think Sky and Sky Bet are looking at a date in May, and I know FDM are looking into it at the moment, and HS Digital. So don't worry, it will all get sorted out over the next couple of weeks. Most likely the reward days will take place in April and May. I know that some will actually be after the exams as well, which might take the pressure off you a little bit. But please do go on to those. I'll obviously be in touch with you, Elliot as well. We'll try and organise a time and a place where we can all go down and everything like that. I will talk about this at the end. There's a couple of things I'd like to do which are slightly different tonight because it is the final week. So I'd really welcome your feedback on what you've thought about the whole programme. It has been a pilot and we've certainly tried and tested lots of cool things along the way, but we'd really like to just give you a quick survey at the end of tonight. I've got all your certificates as well, which have been signed by the Pro Vice Chancellor, I'm glad to say, so you'll have something to take home. Yet another little goodie from the programme. And I really want to keep in touch with you guys as well. So that's one thing I'm really keen on doing. I don't want it just to be, that's it now, good luck. I will be in touch with you over the next couple of months to see how you're getting on, particularly those of you who are in your final year. I would like to help you, if you haven't already started looking for jobs, help you find a job. I know some of you have already emailed me saying that off the back of this programme you've got interviews, you've got conversations going, and that's absolutely brilliant. I mean, that's the whole point of this programme really. So really want to keep the sort of momentum going all the way through the summer as well. So I'm going to introduce now, as I say, Melik and Steve. They're going to talk to you about tonight's session, which is a mini hackathon. Yeah. And thank you again for being here, guys.
Brilliant. Thank you very much. So, as you all know, before, my name is Melik. I'm a University Partnership Consultant for FDM Group. So, what we're going to do today, we've got a fun exercise for you. We will kind of guide you through to start with, kind of give you some explanations on what to be doing and what to be looking out for. But then at the end, you'll be having kind of a bit of fun with yourselves in your groups. Just kind of talking, looking at how you can customise these little things you've got on your tables now. So,
I'm Stephen.
Yeah, I forgot to.
I'm also part of the recruitment team.
Yeah, sorry.
I've been in the company for about 2.5 years. I've gone through some of the technical training, so any questions about our graduate programme, I'm a good person to ask. I've been doing recruitment for about 3.5 years, but I also do coding in my own time. So I do understand the journey that you guys are going through, and sometimes it can feel tough, but it's fun and it's rewarding.
Yeah, brilliant. So, the overview for today then. So, firstly, we're going to kind of go through briefly what a hackathon is, just kind of give you an idea. Then we'll have a look at how it will work, so this kind of session that we'll be running, and then we've got a few kind of little challenges which Stephen will be kind of talking you through. After that we'll be having a look at how to build a controller for these little bots you've got on your tables, and then after that the fun part is you customising what you can do with these bit bots, these cars you've got. Then the most important bit at the end is racing them at the end as well against your fellow teams. So firstly what I'd like to do before we kind of get started, for each kind of group, just kind of have a think now, and then when we get to kind of the racing bit, think of your team name for your teams, and if one of you can figure out how to program your team names onto your cars as well, we'll give you a prize at the end. So kind of a little challenge kind of think about throughout. Think of a team name between you all, and then if you can manage to get that onto your cars as well somehow.
It will make a little bit more sense when we do.
Yeah, it will. Yeah, definitely. So, what is a hackathon then? So a hackathon is where people get together, either competing or working together to kind of solve coding problems and look at how to kind of program as well. So what is important is to communicate, especially today within your teams. Talk to each other. It's always important to kind of get, if you're not seeing things kind of straight away, ask for someone else because they might be able to see with an open mind as well. I would kind of say use Google. Try not to use Google to start with, but Google's always there to help, and you'll find a lot of software developers and kind of programmers will always kind of go to Google if we've got an issue, see what kind of information, read forums, etc. To kind of solve the problems that they're dealing with as well. And most importantly, just have fun as well. So that's what we're here for today, is just to enjoy yourselves. I know you've been here every Monday for the last 6 weeks, so let's have a fun session as well today. So, introduction to the microbit. So on your tables, I've handed out, so you've got 2 microbits. So you've got one with RC on the top with a number. Can you see that? So that's your remote control. Then you've got another one with just C and a number on the top as well. We've all seen that. So, and that's the chip for the bitbot itself. So that's what you'll be putting into the bitbot. And you've got the bitbot card as well, which you're going to be putting the chip into to control and do fancy things with as well. So, first things first, can we all just have a look at this? Type this, open your laptops as well. Type this URL. And then we'll show you what we're doing to start with.
So you should come to this screen. The URL is right here.
You all see that?
Everyone on it? Can't see it? Okay.
Okay. I'll look over it.
Is everyone on?
Right, how are we all looking? Good? Shake your heads. Nod. Yeah, all good. Right, so ignore step 1 to start with. We'll go on to step 2. So what I want, I've got a little challenge for you to start with is if you click here to making this example yourself, and it should send you to the program that we'll be using today to program these microchips.
Project?
Yeah, you all on that? If anyone's having issues, just put up your hand and we'll come over.
So would you click on after you get to the home page?
So go down to step 2
Anywhere else?
and click on the yes, and then go on new project. Yeah.
No, don't worry about it.
Anyone else struggling?
Yeah, that's right. I think my computer was like 6 years old. Yeah, it's like a breath of fresh air when you get
I think some people work fine. Even if there's one laptop working between the table, that's fine anyway.
Is everyone kind of on?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right, so what I want you to do firstly, this is the program we're going to be using today to program the microbits that you've got on your table. So first we've got a little task for you. So on here you can see what you can do with these microbits. So the LED lights can flash up, and the first little task is quite simple really. We want you to figure out how to get your LEDs flashing on the microbit that's on the side on the left of your programming page. So whoever comes up with the coolest design, we'll give you a little prize as well. So for instance here they've done like a beating heart. But you can do loads of different designs. You can even do text, whatever it may be as well.
Make your own.
Is anyone struggling to understand this so far?
And it'll come up on the screen.
So yeah, have a play around with yours.
So just 5 minutes, just get used to the program, get used to how to kind of get the lights up on your machine. Any questions?
Yeah, we'll keep wandering around and see how you're getting on.
on the understand.
Right, so what,
Yeah.
we've got, looking at the basic stages to start with. So show LEDs, or you could do that show screen.
So you could actually do another one. Make it as long, as big, as elaborate as you want. I've had my name on there printed out. Well, after Stephen Fall's wife, it starts to get a little too long, so that's all. Okay, I'm saying?
It's fine if you might do a bit. So basically what it does,
Okay, that's
once
fine.
you kind of plug it in and download it, these LEDs will light up the way that you want. How you all getting on with it?
Camera's not. So that one will be,
We'll get into the nitty-gritty of questions. So you're going to start with try and customise it, maybe just like so flashes and does something else after. You can more than one.
and you can change the preset passwords that are on there.
To be honest with you, just go and type in that one to our files, so you straight down into spread.
Yeah, I'm just having to play around with it.
Yeah.
That long, so yeah. That's like the name, you know, like when it's.
Oh, nice, yeah.
That's what it'll show you.
It's all the basics.
So when you kind of power up the micro bit,
Otherwise,
it will
it's
show you
yours
this,
blue.
and then it'll go
Your
on.
LEDs
Then
as well.
disappear. If you want to show something
Is it like blue? You know what?
then you can
You need to drag it up to the whatever.
Join it onto forever.
have more than one kind of.
Oh.
So you can do flashes, so before they had like beat hat, so it had like two different ones, so you can just play around with it and make it a little fun.
So you can play around with lots of right. 8 to infinity. Oh, I'm liking that one. Is that your name?
What were you going to say? No, because I wanted it to use.
You put a string in there, nice.
Am I doing it right? So like, if I wanted to keep that
See, when I did it, I actually typed out my letter, showing it, LEDs.
So you put a lot of.
Yeah, it was absolutely massive. But,
Do you understand what you're doing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
no, that's actually a
So
shortcut
it's
way.
just to give you an idea of what happens. So basically, when you plug it into the microbits itself, so if you plug it into this, onto your laptop, you download it the program, which we'll show you later, then the LEDs will flash the way you kind of planned it one day. So just going to give you a little demonstration of that.
Yeah.
How have you all found that?
Temperature gauge.
Someone can do it. It's all basic to start with, and we'll get into the nitty gritty. It's just going to give you a few challenges to kind of warm up. So basically what happens when you do this is when you put the LEDs onto, so you download them onto the microbit itself, and when you plug the microbit into your power cable, which is the little thing here, I'll show you, plug it into that, your LEDs will show up the way that you've commanded it to on the program that you set up as well. So it's just going to give you a little taste of what to expect further on in the session as well.
I've got to admit, you guys have all been creative. We've had temperature gauges, we've had names being written out in different ways, and we've had funky pictures. Great. When I did it, I just did my name. So,
Yeah. So how have we all found that?
fairly easy, it's easy to use, drag and drop.
Yeah. Any questions? Anyone thinking, what are we doing here? Slightly over there. Right.
Don't worry, the thing that I'll say about this is that it's all at your own pace. If anyone is having a bit of difficulty with it, there's going to be stopping points throughout it all, and we can make sure that everyone gets to a certain point, and everything's going to be very visual. If anything becomes quite like you're unsure, I can run things on a big screen as well, and just kind of go through things step by step. There will be elements where you get to cover your own as well.
Yeah, most importantly, just if you do feel like you're struggling, just put up your hand, and either myself or Stephen will come over and talk you through as well. We don't want you to kind of feel like you're not getting anything out of this session, so don't be afraid to put up your hands throughout. Is that alright? Excellent, so we'll move on. So now you've had that little bit of introduction, I'll pass you over to Stephen, who's going to get into a bit of the nitty-gritty side, which is more technical than I can handle, I'll be honest with you. So, over to you, Stephen.
So you guys know about agile sprints and stuff like that?
Yeah, right.
So you understand the basic concept that if someone turns around to you and says, program a car, what's the first thing you do when someone says do something?
Skateboard.
Hmm?
Skateboard.
What's that?
Create a skateboard.
Okay. Well, could do that. I was thinking we'll break it down into components. I don't know if that's what you meant.
Yeah.
I didn't know the terminology that they use, that's all. But yeah, you break it down into components. So there's two main components that you've got right there. One is your remote control. You need to be able to program remote control to be able to actually output the function, output something, a signal. And then you need to program the actual bitbox card to receive that signal and then allow the motor to do something which you basically control. Is that fairly straightforward? Makes sense? So we're first going to start on the remote control, and this is what we're going to do. Does any of that make any sense? Oh, who said yes?
Yeah.
Okay, right, what does it say?
It's like the last week of coding, so if it goes down, the computer will just do it line by line. It's like you've got to learn the terminology, like if it's that, then it does that.
I'm going to use you. You're right. It is done by line, and we'll run through all the different aspects of it. And that's basically what it is. So we're first going to start off. What's the first thing that a controller needs to do?
Start.
Yeah? But you turn it on, what does it need to do? Connect. How? So remote control. What do remote controls use?
Send a signal.
Send a signal, radio signal. Straightforward, so we need to set it up. So, breaking that down, we first need to find out where the radio signal is. Select the right group, which is radio select group. This is all on here, so you can do it as if you'd like to follow along. Drag it to the on start box. Now, I had a question before about the on start box, because some people were using the on start box to put the program in, or the other box, which was forever loop. Now, the on start is basically something that, as soon as you turn it on, it works straight away. Why do you think that's important? Because a program will run as you give it commands, but you want something to do something straight away. You want this control to be able to send a signal straight away to something. So that's why it's in the on start function. It's basically as soon as you turn this on, it has power. Think of it like a printer. I'm going to use this analogy quite a lot. We plug in a printer, it's on, it's ready, and it's ready to take information. That's what we're basically doing here. We're setting the signal so you're able to transmit it. Now on the set signal, it'll look like this. Has everyone got that? Yeah? This can go up to 225. I would recommend not, purely because it could get messy if everyone starts having the same signal. I'd recommend setting it to the same value as it says on the controller, just because then that way there's no cross compatibility. So if yours says RC1, it's 1. If it says RC2, it's 2.
Just so there's no confusion really between the groups. So if you all have the same number, you'll be all controlling each other's cars, which can get a bit complicated. So yeah, just keep to the numbers on your RCs and your micro bits, and that's going to stop that kind of confusion.
Now don't worry about the whole coding side of it yet, we will get there. This is just setting things up, and then we're going to get you used to coding with the controller, and then we're going to let you have a little bit of fun with the car. So is everyone pretty much at this stage?
Any questions so far?
Anyone not at that stage? Okay. So we'll move on to the next bit, which is a forever loop. Can anyone think of what a forever loop will do, or does?
Keep looping and looping forever.
Yes, pretty much it's that. It's just basically, as I was saying before, it's like a standby button on your TV, it's just waiting for an instruction. And that is what a forever loop does. So what I want you to put in the forever loop is this. Radio send then you need to put ACC there, and you need to put it at the top. You don't need to know what this does yet, because it's far beyond what even I know, to be honest. It was just on the setup that needs to be done, because I was looking at it this week. But it basically allows the signal to send to this to the forever loop. Is everyone there? Anyone having difficulty finding it? Everyone there? No one? If you're not, put your hand up. If you're struggling to find the statements, it's all colour coded. So that's pink. So if you look at the pink section, that's purple as well. So you should be able to find it. It's all colour coded. Anyone else struggling?
Yeah, I think I'm top. Can you put that side?
So
Fronting color, and it should be acceleration in G.
right, like that, yeah. I'll bit up to 0. There, just change the X to Y. Is everyone struggling to find the acceleration MGY?
It's on the info.
Yeah. Is anyone else struggling?
Yeah, everyone on this table, all there, fine.
Excellent.
So you've basically got this value that's going to run recurrently over and over again. So we're going to go back to conditional statements now. So you've got this forever loop, it's ready, it's prepared to do something. Has anyone ever heard of an if statement before?
Yes. Yeah.
You have? Everyone? No?
We learned about these in the coding session.
That's fine. That's fine. So what's an if statement?
So if something happens, it'll do that, and then say it'll go. If that happens, it'll. So you can just keep the amount of ifs you put, it'll keep doing different things and it'll go down different paths and stuff.
Perfect description. It's basically, again, the printer analogy. A printer can scan, say a big office printer can scan, it can photocopy, it can receive a signal to print from several different computers, it can print multiple copies, it can do it front and back. But whilst it's doing nothing, it will stay ready. As soon as an input happens, so if someone says print, it'll then do that function. It'll do that bit of code which allows you to print something. So that is basically what this is. It's just something that if a condition is met, then it will run a piece of code. So here's an example. If A equals 1, it will do something. If A equals 0, what do you think it'll do? Exactly. So that's why there's something called if-else statement. Has anyone ever heard of that? You would have, yeah? Imagine. So same kind of thing. This is the input now. So imagine it's a mathematical formula and you just try to do plus 1. So A equals 1, it will output A, which will be 1, plus 1, so the answer will be 2. Does that make sense to everyone? Relatively straightforward. But if A equals 0, it'll just output 0. So you've got a piece of code, which, let's be honest, isn't the most exciting thing, but it's just for demonstration purposes for you to be able to use. If A equals 1, it will do something. If A equals 0, it will just output A, which at this point is 0. We will use this a little bit later on down the line. It will become quite important. So let's build a controller. So now, does this make sense? What do you know? It's fine if not. It's fine if not. Does anyone have an idea of what this might say? Again, it's okay if not. Now I'm going to show you the controller. Now what do you think? You've got A here, you've got B here.
But those controllers don't go that way.
They can be. They can either go forwards, they can go backwards. They can be anything you want them to be. But it allows you to do something. It's a function. So what we're ready to say, if button B is pressed,
So turning an LED on.
yeah, exactly, that's this one. So if this button pressed, it will turn the LED. Now someone had the X, Y and axes up. X4, Y0, X4, Y0. They'll turn this one up, press B. Now later on you can make this as fancy as you want. We've had ones with rainbow colours coming up and all sorts. You really can experiment with it. But it's just kind of giving you the basic idea. But if B isn't pressed, it will send the name value B and a value of 0 out of the controller, and it will unplot that line. Does that kind of make sense? If I've lost anyone, please let me know. Yeah. So, if B is pressed, it will send the value B and 1 out of the radio. So it will send, the remote control will send that as a radio signal. It will also change the colour, block 40 to a light that you want. If B isn't pressed, so else, so that's basically the opposite, it will send the value B, put the number 0 out of the controller, and it will unplot that colour. So why do you think the colour is quite a nice thing? If you're using the controller, what do you think that colour could be used for? Well, if you press it, what do you think happens?
It's on or off.
Checks if it works or not. It's great for testing. Because if you build something and you can't test it, it really becomes quite difficult because you're like, this should work. Why isn't it working? But then if you can't refer it to anything or reference anything, it becomes impossible to be able to see. Plus you can also make pretty cool stuff. But that is the basic construct of being able to get that controller, the B controller, working in terms of the output. Now, do you guys think you could code this?
Probably with you, though.
Alright, I'll give you 5 minutes.
So yeah, what we're going to do now is do button B, so as it is on there. Then after that, do the same for button A as well. So basically what Stephen was saying is when button B is pressed, the light number 4, as you can see on there, will light up red. When it's not pressed, it won't light up as anything. So we want you to do the same for button A. So when A is pressed, this one here lights up. And when it's not pressed, it doesn't light up at all. So it just kind of gives you that command to make you aware whether it's sending a signal or not. Does that all make sense? Yeah.
Working teams, working groups, work
Put your hands up
independently,
if
put
you
your hands
want.
up.
Right, okay. What are you talking
I sort of found trees that
What you're missing? Because what you're doing there is just a little bit of a note, all of this doesn't go onto your on-start method or function, it goes onto your forever loop. If it goes onto your on-start, it's basically like telling the computer, the printer that I was talking about, to print, scan and photocopy all different functions at the same time. It just won't work. So make sure that you are putting that in the forever loop.
Yeah, what you need is
Oh no, it's fine. It's fine.
Or that bit, you just have to go yeah. Oh, there we go. Right, so
What you'll basically is if this condition is trouble, so let's say if this bottle had water, you'll run some code.
is that the wild dice?
It's actually going to be two options. So button B is either going to be pressed.
They did hour of code. They did a Minecraft version. So you sat in the code of like the chickens moving and stuff.
Change that.
All blue code is
One thing needs to go into the rest of yeah. That bit's fine and then it's but yeah. And then to logic. Input, sorry. But an aim test. And then drag it into where the true bit is.
How are you getting on? Yeah, do you want to come over?
Alright.
Yeah.
Right.
A lot of it's in the logic bit.
Shows
It's
how
dragging and dropping stuff and changing some of the values.
Button B is pressing and forever loop. So you want to execute as well. So go to
Yeah, it's really good. How you guys doing that there? You alright?
yeah, let's try that. Put it up over.
Oh yeah. You like the sound?
So, have you got it? So it's right here. So once you've got this, who's having difficulty with the B button? Oh, we've got it.
Yeah, it's just a tiny little.
Random if you do. How you getting on over it?
Yeah, that helps.
You're not seeing it. I'm just
Okay. This thing's looking over here. You getting it?
It's a logic. I mean,
So you want to be doing both button B and button A. So once you've done button B, go on to button A and see if you can figure out button A. And to see if your program is working,
okay, there is a reason why. So,
we put our short.
you're talking about pressing, which is big.
also to test if it's working.
No, it's fine. And this happens all the time, don't worry. I did some programming this morning and I was trying to figure out how to do something which is
When it's at all light,
Have you?
it means it should be working. Or you need to put a
fantastic.
table with the if part and put it to the bottom of that one.
And then it had
To the bottom of your
I can do this.
Yeah, I think it's fine. I think
Well, actually, funny enough, most of it's logic. If you get the logic, it's fine. The syntax is just like learning English.
Going back to delete that.
Not forget the same goal.
The reason why that's floor 0, I'll show you.
You don't need to use LED to do that.
So 0 here,
And so,
so it's like this LED here.
Maybe put your
No,
so put, do you know the different LED parts on the
well, it's stuck on there, yeah. And that's
yeah, just at the top of it.
you were right.
then how do you?
Oh, it's because you've got like all them bits because that's like a separate command. Yeah.
So this is just like an outline.
We're just giving you the foundation.
Yeah.
About half an hour.
Okay. One thing that you'll do.
Are you guys working on it?
Yeah, I've got it. Have you checked out what the biggest allow you to speak? Then it's going to drop. Yeah. That goes.
Yeah, I heard that, yeah.
And then you do L search, you go to radius and volume.
Oh, yeah. The more
You get it. You're going to know what you're doing. Right.
So basically, first bit here, first section here, button means there's a B button, but full B is press.
So what you're after now
Yeah, it knows.
With anything
so
that's learning new
so think
principles.
about it, you're doing
Sort of like a new language, I suppose.
Yeah, but
now you need to find out
it
if
reminds me a lot of the
Oh, hit.
the different codes, HTML, and
Yeah.
that sort of well.
sometimes you find out close
Just
enough
like
to say it out. Also,
Telling you what to do. So when B is pressed, that will light up to make you aware that it's working. It's sending the signal. And now it's when radius and value B equals 0,
Yeah.
B is not pressed.
Well, mine's got mine on there as well, so I don't know if that's.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
I think there's a way to
Is it?
make it so you've
Is
got
it meant to stop?
Plot.
I'm not sure how you stop the
You've got
Yeah,
plot
because
first.
I've got the colouring bits. Is it just that
Plot is the second one you've got. Well, if you want to do the opposite one, that's fine. Or you can do whatever you want. Just basically, it's just to show that when you disable it, it's working.
yeah.
You send the signal.
I think it might be because
Yeah, how you log in.
start and that line at the same time.
So, yes, so, yeah.
Oh, you just it might be
separate that like the rate another forever? If that
I think it's just like
forever.
yeah.
it keeps
So, I think it's like to do that. It's doing it.
I took
So everything goes in the same.
Oh, it does work. Oh, it's staying on forever. Yeah.
How are you getting on there? You alright?
Yeah.
You can set it with you. Right. That's just pretty good. Yeah, see how you get on. Give us a shout. How are you guys getting on over here? Yeah, excellent. Did you press? You got yours? Good work. Excellent. You're making us really fancy.
I don't I don't know if mine, I don't know how to do it. Because when I press the button, it just stays on it.
Yeah, because you've got to get rid of these stuff, just put them in the bin.
Is it many?
But you've done one out of it, you've got the second out. Oh, okay, you've done this a bit. You've done the else bit. So what happens when A is not pressed, what happens when B is not pressed?
So I've done for the B one.
That's a plot, it needs to be on plot.
Basically, you're telling it to stay on when it's not pressed as well.
Yeah. Whereabouts is that?
It's LED. How are we getting on the brief?
Has everyone pretty much done this now? Has anyone not? Put your hand up. No, it's fine, it's fine. Okay, so you've got B. Oh, A is pressed. So you don't need any
Oh, you don't? Oh, right.
and you don't need the if statement.
How come you're able to?
So just this bit, put it in there.
How come you're able to?
Outside of what you've got there, inside.
Yeah.
No, it won't. I need to switch that bit. I haven't finished the bottom part. Well, so far,
Oh, okay, yeah.
So you're unplotting it every time you press it.
right, so I have to add that to the bottom.
Yeah. So the idea is if it's pressed, light it up.
Yeah.
If it's not,
That's cool. I should give you an interview and a full
Yeah.
Where are you guys on your allocation? Different places. This guy, yeah. Yeah, Louis guy.
you can make all of it.
Yeah. How would I do that? I'll probably
There you go.
Hey.
It's nice of the company that
I
we
don't
like
think
getting
we're
involved
really
in it.
on the classes.
No, yeah, definitely. Let me know if you need help with anything.
It's the top one.
A lot of the guys have been saying like they're going to really like 5 years to see on the CV and
So
stuff
you
like
mean
I
that.
don't know how to. That's what I do.
No, my big classes, but then we sent them off to Sky.
Oh yeah.
And do you have high tech equivalent to the party?
Yeah, I would do, yeah. Yeah, you can see me and everyone with myself, but like I mentioned, it's going to be exams as well.
Yeah. So that needs to be.
So it's all going so I do it in May. I will do it. But yeah, should be good.
And when it's not pressed, it's 0. So you better not do
Because what you were doing there, you were basically saying if, and then if, then it's basically another if statement. So saying if this happens, then not evaluating it. Essentially not going through the track. So it's just
when B is pressed, B will equal.
simple.
When B is not pressed, B will equal.
Alright, thank you.
So it doesn't matter now.
Is everyone?
It's just 1, 0.
Is everyone caught up to this now? We all there?
Well, because
Everyone's there, so you want to start
because
passing
nothing
through. And
happens, one.
how did you find that? Relatively easy?
Yeah.
Some frustration when you realise that you made a small syntax error, or you haven't put the B or a 1 or the wrong. The common one is having both of these unplot or both plot at the same time. Standard things happens all the time, even for an experienced programmer. So, you've done the first task, which is making sure the controllers work. Okay, give yourself a pat on the back. This was our solution for A. Everyone's more or less look the same?
Don't worry about your plots. If you've got different numbers for plots, it just means your LEDs on your microbit will light up in a different place.
Yeah, some people have funky designs on here.
Really? Excellent.
So now we need to build a car. Kind of easier said than done, really. Because
Yeah. First things first, before we go into this section, can you make sure you save this work that you've done so far and call it RC whatever number. So
and then download it as well, just so you've got a copy. But to save it, you just go.
so if it says RC1 on your thing or RC3, then yeah, name it as that and save it before we move on to the next
If you're
bit.
wondering where it goes, you get a little menu here with all the code. And then the second thing you need to do is open up a new window. So you go back to here, your saved controller would be here. So remember how to get onto this page. Is everyone here?
Then I've got a new project open and saved there the remote. Yeah, I forgot about that.
So, is everyone here? Is everyone not here? Put your hand. Okay, so new project.
Right.
Nice shiny project. First thing you do, click on this little Laura icon. And then there'll be something here called extensions. Click on that. And then there'll be a nice bitbot package for you to download.
And there
And
you go.
what that's doing, and believe it or not, a lot of developers do this. It's using a framework, which is a lot of preset code which has already been built for a specific function. And developers use this on a regular basis. So I don't know how much you know about programming languages, but like with JavaScript, has anyone ever heard of that? Yeah? If I start turning around saying jQuery, React, TypeScript, Vue.js, AngularJS, are they alien to you or have you heard them all before? Some of them, alien, that's fine. They're basically frameworks that use the same programming language, but in a different way. And they basically make it easier. A bit like this, it's an easier format to be able to use the same programming language. So that's pretty much the setup. So again, breaking it down into different tasks. First, we need to make sure that the controller does something, that the car does something. What does a remote control car need to get?
Signal.
Exactly. Gets the signal. So first we need to set it to be able to receive the signal from the controller. Then we need to create a variable called speed. Has anyone ever heard of a variable?
Yeah.
Yeah, what is it?
So if you say you write a story and you put a variable if, so every time it sees the word if, you can change it instantly instead of going through the whole thing. So if it sees a number, it can change that number, it'll change the whole. So if equals 5, it'll do 5.
Not quite.
Not quite.
Not quite. Anyone else?
A variable in its simplest form is just something that changes.
Can do. It can change. Anyone else? What does a hold in maths? The value. A variable is something that holds something, so you're right in that way. There can be fixed variables, so it holds a specific value. So if you were to say speed as a variable, and let's say we have a bucket, and we put, the bucket's called speed. This is it. We put the value 1000 in there. Every time we use and call that value speed, we're basically calling the number 1000, which is what you're saying. But that's a fixed variable. What you're kind of talking about was more of a fluid one, where you can continuously put different data in on a constant basis. More complicated than it needs to be that. But that's basically what we're going to create. It's a variable, so it's going to be something that holds a numerical value, and we're going to call it speed. Does that all make sense? No? Yeah? So, this is what you're going to do. It's going to be on the on start, because as soon as you turn on the controller on the car, it needs to do something. It needs to send a it needs to receive something. So radio set group, what do you think that needs to be set to?
Whatever your RC is.
Exactly. And I set mine to 1,000 because I was hoping it would make my car go quicker. It didn't. Unfortunately, that's kind of done by the motor. So you can put that 10, you can put it 1 million, it really doesn't matter. It's just you're setting it at its maximum speed.
We're all there.
So is this making sense in the way of you're turning it on and you're instantly giving this program something to do? It's got something that it's storing straight away. You need to start a new project. You need to start a new project. So you need to save it. Yeah. Controller.
Didn't have the effects on it.
Well, that's it. It's just a valid numerical. You can have it as you want. Later on, if it's a little bit more of a long session, controllers have the ability to have motion control. You can actually speed based on how you turn it. If you turn it a little bit, you can have one quicker than the other. Oh, there's a lot of complexities that you can do.
Good, excellent.
So this entire course.
Oh, that's awesome. You get it?
Yeah.
Right.
These people do programming, some of them do programming before. But what I'm going to show you later is actually you actually see
Nice for bits after. It's only one of you doing that, so I've got the best casual that you think will work. Yeah. It's quite fun. I got mine spinning around. I couldn't really control it properly. Just doing donuts.
More fancy you make it. Yeah. How's everyone going? Are we there? Okay. So we've established the on-start. Now this is where things are going to become potentially a little bit complicated. So please put your hand up if you don't quite get it, because it's a lot of numbers and variables. So this is what we're going to build. Now you might not need this bit. I'll be honest. When we built it, it was a little bit more complex, and that bit wasn't needed, as kind of explained to you on the table. The actual controllers have the ability to have motion control, so you can actually tilt it left, right, forwards, backwards. We just kind of took a lot of that code out to make it a little bit more user-friendly. But you've got this here, on radio received. Now, it accepts what's called two parameters. Now, have any of you ever heard of the word function before? Yeah? Functions are basically a set of code which receives information and then will run code with it. So think of it kind of like a baking tray or a cookbook. You're making a cake and you need to put in certain ingredients, and then once those ingredients are done, it then creates something. That is what that basically does. Now it receives name and value. Where do you think name and value will come from? It's okay not to know. It's a bit of a... So name and value come from the parameters of the control that you're sending out. Do you remember on the control? So I'm just going to go onto this screen here. Do you remember how you were sending out the letter B, which is the name, and the value 1, which is the digit when it was pressed? If it wasn't pressed, that digit becomes 0. So now, you're making sure that the car receives receives that information. So in the if statement, if name equals A, because that's you essentially pressing the button, set A to value, which is either 1 or 0. Now, if you were to say, use a car, you could potentially later on use that exact same code to have 1 as a make the motor do something, and a 0 as make the motor do nothing. So that's why you set up the signal to first send the name and the value at the same time. But then you've got an else statement, because you're looking not just for A, you're looking for B as well. So we're looking to see if name, if it doesn't equal A when you actually it's receiving something, it's then looking if the value is B. If the value is B, it'll then set the value to 1. So if in this method, in this function, the values were A and 0, what do you think would happen?
Often.
Or what do you think A would be? Accelerate. So name equals A, so set A to value. So if I'm sending A and 0, what do you think A would be? 0. Because I'm assigning A to the value that's been input. Then if you press it, so you press A, the value then changes to 1, which we wrote in the other code earlier. Does anyone need to see the other code as a reference, or is this making, am I losing anyone? Okay, it takes a little bit to get your head around, because it's 2 programs, so.
So basically what's happening is, looking back at the first program we did for the RC, it's connecting that together basically. So when A is pressed, the value of A will equal 1, so that's what would happen, it will accelerate. When B is pressed, likewise, it will do the action that you want it to do, so B is equal to 1, so the value will be 1 again. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So it's looking back at both programs, you need to kind of be thinking what we did before and what we're doing now to make them link together, because you need to be able to link the remote control with the bitbot together. Is that making sense now?
So it's when it's not pressed, it's 0, so there's nothing.
Exactly, so when B is pressed, B and 1, here, radio send value B and 1. So it sends the value to the controller, however far the car is. And then from there, this is the receiver that receives the information that's been sent by the controller. From there, if name equals A, set A to 1. But if you decide actually you don't want to press A anymore, then A, the radio sent signal, well, B, whatever, the radio sent signal will be B0, which means that if you go back to the receiver on the control, on the car, again, it will be name and, in this case, B and 0. So name will be B, or B will set to be 0. Again, think about this in the way of, well, what are you going to use those numbers for? Again, if it's 1, does that mean go? If it's 0, does it mean go? Does that make sense? Yes? Don't worry, I'm going to make you all code it in a second. Any questions?
So basically, you can either remain stationary or go. Those are the 2 options.
That's it. 0 could be stationary, 1 could be go. Because the motors in the cars, there's a left and right motor, which you can kind of play with later. But essentially, you could say 1 is make the motor do something, and 0 is make the motor do nothing. That makes sense? Okay.
There's a lot of blank looks.
Don't worry, this was the bit that I was scared to present it, to be honest, because it refers to, like, it's kind of the flow of how the program's working. So program it out. I'll have a bit of a walk around. I'm happy to explain things in a little bit of detail and kind of walk you through it a little bit as well.
So if you saw how we go at this, walk around and talk through as well, any questions. But if you do have any, if you've got any questions, just put up your hand and we'll come over straight away.
How did you get the ACC?
Right, so actually, you can just ignore this line here. That's not necessary. That was just from the code that we were doing before, where we're trying to put motion sensors in it. If you want to do that at a later date, by all means, but it can get a bit kind of complicated, so just going to keep it simple. It's blind for me a bit. Yeah, that's what we wanted to do. So yeah, just ignore that second line there.
Guys over here.
Yeah, so can't change that to press the wrong bit.
Right in front.
So, to just kind of make you aware, to put the A in, is people struggling to put A and B in here? Yeah. So if you go onto Advanced on your thing, go into Advanced, you then go to Text. Then at the top, so the top one's got the two quotation marks. So you want to be dragging that into where the comparison is. So you're not quite there yet.
Just because the code's not complete.
When you should do a comparison to if.
So how would I
Go to Logic.
and would I do it?
That's the bit I'm a little bit unsure about. To be honest.
You want to be dragging that into that.
Which one's that?
Right, so on these for you.
Oh, then you just drag that.
Drag it in and make sure your cursor's on through. Yeah, there we go. There we go. So your cursor needs to be on the. So you need to do Logic. Comparison. Yeah. Then drag it.
Let's do that.
It needs to be like name.
The else bit?
Yeah. How are you getting on with it?
Oh, thank you.
Yeah,
There's a lot of trial and
Slowly getting
error,
there.
to be honest.
Right, so yeah,
It's very
go to
simple.
Advanced.
It's very, very simple.
That's what it is.
So in this case,
It's amazing how. Yeah. Are you guys okay? I like that. No.
right, yeah, so go to variables.
Is that
So if you go down and drop down now.
set A?
Set A to value. Oh yeah.
It might be something in that box.
Got it. Do you know Adobe?
Yeah, it's the one.
Why do I keep doing that? What's wrong with your laptop? Is it me?
That's the one.
Oh, okay.
I can't get rid of it because I'm with
Where do I press?
like there.
I really hate your laptop.
I don't know how you're doing that.
I think we do it.
It's literally not moving.
Right, try getting the grab a new one.
I did.
Drag it in.
Alright, good. Thank you.
So then you want to be. Oh, someone's put a hand up.
Just saying, let's.
Okay, that's fine. But it's quite a bit. Yeah.
So then I just.
Right, so then you need to put.
Yeah. No, put A instead of name.
So when you're in control, did you float?
The one at the top.
I was there.
I don't know why, yeah. You press the plus and then you add it in and you do the minus.
So put keys on.
So press that since I've got on no, it just does it from where you're down. Then add it in to the it will be fine.
I was my eyes so bad.
So you have to change that white one to the second. So you go in and
You guys got it?
You see it better now? You go and see it in a bit more?
how do you get value?
Is that better? He's going to show you how to do it now anyway.
So when you put it all in,
Make a variable. Make one called A, make one called B.
Right, do you want to look at this? So,
I'm going to run through it a little bit. It's interesting that a lot of you all came to the same problems that both Melik and I did. Just to give you an idea, we were in the office with a massive screen trying to code this, and people walking past going, "What are you guys doing?" Because we're supposed to be on the phone speaking to people, so it's quite an interesting explanation. So the first thing we're going to do is this bit here. So we're going to go into the on-start method. So I'm going to look into the radio group, and I'm going to go radio set group, and pop that right here. Then I'm going to create a variable. I'm going to call it speed. I'm going to set speed to 1000. Has everyone kind of got that bit? So now we need to do the on radio receiver, which is that one. Okay. Here are the two parameters, the name and value that I was discussing before. Then we need to make a if statement, and then we need to put a condition in there. We then need to use variable name, which is this, which has been input into the system. And we're looking for the string, the value that we're sending through, which is either what that's been sent from the controller. A or B. Yeah. Now, something just to note, if you put a capital A from your controller, make sure you put a capital A for the receiver. It is case sensitive in terms of what you're going to use. You're not going to use it. So then we'll do the same on this side. A nice little hack, just to make it look nice. Press that button there, it just becomes nice if that's it, but with two conditions on there. So now we need to set the value of A to value. So we click on here.
So you need
Make it a variable. And you don't need to drag and drop this. All you need to do, click here, and then you can select it quite nicely. And then all you need to do here is set the value. So set it to this value here. And then you just copy and do the same. Even don't have to work for me.
Are we all getting on with that? We all get that?
Did everyone find that challenging?
Yeah.
That's good. That's what a hackathon should do. It should make you think, why? How? But there's always a solution to it. I mean, like I said, me and Mel spent nearly a day getting to this point. By the time we actually got to the car, about halfway through the day, my car wouldn't receive send the signal, and your car wouldn't receive the signal. And we got my car working eventually, and then we gave up. But that's what a hackathon is. It's about kind of overcoming that challenge and just thinking things through logically. Does that all make sense to everyone? Do you understand how we got to that? Now that kind of went through it. Has everyone built this?
Yeah.
That's the main thing.
Just one thing, just going to make you sure as well, just make sure it's not in your forever loop as well. I think I saw a few people put it in the forever loop. Oh yeah, that's it.
So, just because it's a hackathon and everything, you've now built the receiver which receives the signal from your controller. You've now defined whether the button is on or off, or 1 or 0 on your car. Now,
so what we want you to do now is customise your car. So this is where you'll be putting things into your forever loop. And that's commands on what you want the car to do. So if you want the car to accelerate or show LEDs, so I would advise to put LEDs on your bitbot, so when you are pressing B, then your bitbot lights up as well, so it shows the action. And if it's not lighting up, so say if it's green and when you press B it goes green, and when it's not pressed it stays red, then it shows where the actions are what the actions are doing. And if it's not working, you know you need to change something there as well. Drive function, so make sure you set this motor speed, the commands you want it to do as well. So when you press A, if you want the motor left to go, the left motor to go, then that's what will happen when button A is pressed. If button B is pressed, then you want the right motor to go, then that's what will happen when button B is pressed as well. So you can have a play around with it, customise it, see what you want to do with it. I'll show you kind of one thing as well. Make sure you're using if statements as well throughout, so they're always important. But we'll come round and help you. We'll work as a group on this one now, just so you can help each other. And then what we'll show you how to do after is how to put that onto the micro bits and test it as well. So once you feel like you've got a code ready, put your hand up and we'll show you how to put on the micro bit itself.
yeah, just to add to that, I would probably advise working as a group rather than trying to do things separately on this one. It's quite a big challenge because there's a lot of things you've done you're going to be reusing, but there's also going to be things that I'm going to show you quite quickly. In fact, I'm going to on it now, which you can then use to be able to help the car run. So there's these here. As you can see, you've got your drive speed, which we've already created the variable for, just to give you a hint. Different motors. You've got your sensors, and you've got your LEDs here as well. So things to really use. Remember, you're trying to get the value here. It's the signal, A or B. That is quite useful. But I just wanted to give you someone a bit of a note, because someone said that it's a little bit like a drag and drop switch and a system. Yes, and it is. But ultimately, everything behind it, this is what you've coded so far. Without you even realising it or not, this is what you've done. So it's exactly the same thing. Name, value. If name equals A equals value. If name equals B equals value. Exactly the same thing. It's just getting that mindset towards it. So have some fun. I'll play around on here as well when things start to get a little bit, as we start getting towards the end. And then we'll see if after about 10 minutes we can start testing it. Because ultimately getting the car right is fine, but if it doesn't work, then it's a bit of a different issue. So let's get the forever loop going, and we'll be here to support.
Does everyone understand what they need to be doing now then? So work is your groups. As we said before, kind of give you a task at the beginning to come up with a team name. See if you can get that team name onto your bitbot as well. So I've seen a few people who've put text onto the LEDs on the micro bits. That's a good way to start in terms of putting your team name on as well. And yeah, just have a play around. Any questions, if you're struggling, put your hand up and we'll come over and we'll try and help you. Okay. Yeah, everyone good? Yeah. So once you've done as well.
Did you say that at the end of it, the idea is that we're going to race them?
Oh yeah.
And is it a straight line race?
Oh no.
So therefore, being able to vary the left and the right is going to be important. Okay.
So you've got a left motor.
That's a really good question.
You've got a left motor and a right motor on the bitbot. So there's not a motor that's meant to drive straight. So you need to be able to get the left motor working and the right motor working in order for it to.
And don't think that if you're thinking this is like, well, what am I doing? We use the same thing with a hackathon for the University of Newcastle, which lasted 2 days. There was like 50, 60 people there, and they had to code it from scratch. And we didn't have any of the support that we're giving now. And these guys were comp-sci students. So they were used to code and struggle with it. So believe me, this is a normal feeling if you're like, this is too much. It's actually not, it just takes practice. The more you get used to it, the better you get it.
Right, does everyone understand what they need to be doing?
Right.
Yeah, crack on and put your hand up if you need help and we'll come over. And if you're finished as well, let me know and I'll show you how to put it onto your micro bits. I like to have a round see what that person's doing. I just want to work like two separate groups as well.
Because you can, if you look on the bitbot bit, you can say about how many millimeters you want. Like if you look
So on the does it like the motor, does it place that A?
These are all really good questions.
Yeah.
So are we now really
You know what the plan is for the next year? So, yeah, it's all in the part. So that's what I was saying. Got most of it, so it always. Yeah, so you've got one for the arse, two for your arse. Alright. Doing the work on the one for the car.
Lots of colours, I like that one.
Well, yeah, I was,
Yeah, you just go into your forever loop. Do you get it? No,
That's perfect. That's you just change the what? Oh, do you mean like to flash when you click that?
With this card going to be put
Think about this one, I try and just put these guys working on the car. You guys. Okay, so that means you'll work on it. So you need to make sure that everything kind of works.
Seems to be grasping it a bit.
that these guys are working on controllers over it, you guys are working on the cameras.
So I picture it in the car because it's
So, yeah, you just want to think it logically, really. Just think
So you kind of download it.
thinking about when A is pressing remote, what you want. So, A is there, so A is pressed, spin left motor, right motor, units. B is remote. If it's not pressed, then obviously the speed will be zero.
Is there something else you need to add in there to make it not pressed?
So you want to do, yeah, so this one A equals 0. Basically if A equals 1,
Put that in there. I was going to say, if we're not looking at it, then
put LEDs on as well. So what I did on mine was I made it worse. When it wasn't pressed, I had the LEDs on the press. So these are your LEDs on the side of the car. See it there. And when I press it, it's all in just so I knew when it was pressed, it was working. And if the green lights were showing, but it wasn't moving, it was something wrong with the motor. That program. Does that make sense?
How do you get the 8 equals 0 opposing to 0?
So it's in comparison there. So it's logic.
Also, they different notices so that they can control
That's right.
Okay.
Yeah, it's all meant to be
Thank you, that explains why I was going
you can do lots of it.
If yours is already finished with the face of yours. And then we can add in so we will it'll be on a bit
Yeah, that, yeah. So it's
So I'm guessing
button A equals press. You want to be
B.
comparison in there instead. So if A equals
Under there.
Yeah.
So you know that.
Yeah.
yeah.
How's everyone going with it? Is it a tough challenge? Oh yes, you're on the testing stage.
I'll come back.
Oh yeah. Do a little bit, test a little bit, do a little bit, test a little bit. Well, you know.
Did you answer?
I understand where that logic is.
Yeah. Private, speed, okay, so
Does that make sense? So you've got the receiver that's receiving the value
you want to
and then you're using that variable
so you've only got 2 buttons,
kind of
think about it.
and then
So
to see if it's
you
going
think
to
you're
go
pressing
left
A and B at the same time.
or to turn it.
So A is your left motor, then B is your right motor. If you're pressing both at the same time, what's
It's okay, don't worry. This is where things can sometimes
press A, what's going to happen? Press B, what's going to happen? So yeah, when you press both at the same time, you've got the anyway.
I've done it.
So
Well, did you set it to press 1 and
spin left motor. What are we going to do?
If it doesn't move, if they go, because I don't know how fast it is, but 600. I don't know if it works though.
Yeah.
I think so.
That motor. What I did in mine was I just programmed mine. What LEDs on this is going to big box. LEDs. So when I went to do, so when the light, when I wasn't pressing B or A, the lights were red.
We're very deep in thought here, guys.
A,
Right.
the left side would light up. Colour. Yeah, so you test
Yeah.
How do you test the other? How do you connect that to
Oh, right. Oh, another variable and say A and
That might be useful for
you know, you have to put, instead of having A, you could put a new variable. You need to pick an A.
Does that make sense to you?
Yes. I know I could
Does that look right?
So I'm just going to run through the first bit with you because I just want to make sure that everyone's along the right lines. Hello? Just going to run through the first bit with you all. You're all doing really well. Just to make sure that everyone's kind of going along the right lines all day. So if goes in the forever statement, and then we're going to look at the logic. Then we're going to look at the variable A. Now, variable A, because I think this has got people stumped a little bit, is right here. Now, if the controller's sending the value 1 because A is pressed, what is that value? What's the value of A? If A is 1, there we go. So what I want to do is find out if A equals 1. If it does, I want it to do something. I want the motor to do something. Now A is the left-hand side, so it kind of makes sense that I would want to maybe spin or drive or which one would you think? Maybe this one? And then create a variable. I create a variable. I already have done before. I input the speed. Might want to do a little bit of LEDs. Let's do a pretty rainbow. And then we want to do if A equals nothing. And then you do the same. But this time, you don't want the car to do anything. You want the car to be doing no, or that side of the engine to do nothing. Again, I'm not going, this isn't necessarily the answer. I'm just putting this in at the moment. It's just to kind of give you that logic of what's needed, because I think there's a little bit of confusion here. So
we all get it now.
A goes here, we're looking for 0, setting the left side at 0. And then if you want, you can turn the LED lights off, or clear all LED lights. Does that make sense? So your logic, has been really good, and it's just understanding what needs to go there. So now you need to do the same on the other side. Is that okay? You're finding there's one bit testing? It's not. That's what that group had done. The reason why is because what is the controller sending? It's sending the value of 1. And then this is basically changing, making a variable, so setting it to the value, which is going to be the 0 or 1. So what you're checking is to see if A equals 1, and then it doesn't work. The reason, the button side of it, I'll be honest, I don't know if it works. You can test it. But I mean, from what I've kind of built, that's the way it works. But I mean, if you want to try it, there's no harm in, plugging it in, download it onto the system. Have you guys, do you know how to do that yet? Alright, I'll show you how to. Just a little quick question, because a few of you are getting to the kind of the testing stage. So to test it, you need to get the micro bit, which I don't have. Have they all got a little USB port? Yeah. Plug the USB port in, make sure it's the right one. So you plug it into your computer and you plug it into the micro bit. At that point, a window screen will come up. Now, if you're going to put the race controller on, make sure you download and put the race controller file on it. Saves you 20 minutes of wondering why your files don't work. Not talking from personal experience. So that's what I'm trying to say, is just make sure it is the right file, go into the right folder, but like I say, you'll get a screen very similar to this. Well, not like this, but you'll get a big screen if you all got it up yet, if you plugged it in. And all you need to do is drag and copy the file into it.
Yeah, I'll copy it over.
Yeah, probably just be
This.
No, right.
Doesn't want to plug into them. Is your car file that you're doing? Then it's
You want to set the
This one is Skinner.
speed. So that makes sense.
Oh, these.
If you need batteries, anyone, just give us a shout. I've got plenty of batteries. I went to count them before I came here.
Just to let you guys know, because it is trying to get towards the end. In about 2-3 minutes, I'm going to show you some completed code for the car, so you can kind of copy and paste it and then get it all working. Just kind of get it fine.
Yes.
Nothing's gone.
Nothing's there. So, save the files. Can you save this one?
I've got it.
So, yeah. So you've got the RC.
I've always.
Oh, no, what you have to do is go into you save it, like you need to save that. So save this car.
Whereabouts do you drag it over to file detail?
Just drag and drop it in.
Is it right one? No.
What did you set all your
There you go, done.
Was I?
No, that's it, it's done.
Can you save with your
Oh, can you download it? Sorry about that. Yeah. Mine automatically does it.
Okay, so I'm going to kind of make things a little bit easier. This is one that we did earlier. Yeah, very much so. So, is everyone's logic more or less the same as this?
Let's do it now.
Yeah.
So that's on.
That's on. Yeah, so that's
It
It is. Is it going to work? It's not going to work. So when it works though and you get it right, you're like, yes!
I've not got the same.
Disadvantage. Sometimes, yeah. It's easy when you know.
Oh, let's see.
How's it going? Is it working? No? Yeah, the fine. Is it going on? Is it working? Okay, have you managed to get the camera? Okay. Oh, I hear a car moving. We have our first car moving. And it goes in a straight line. What's your issue? You're going to go left, right, sounds good to it's good. Have you got the right file?
Yeah, that's the right one.
I'll go have a wander around.
But isn't that good? So I'll send it out.
So you've actually installed it?
It's not good into
Should just go on that, showing folder.
Wait, it was in this.
Like working.
They're not there. You want the thing process like this. So then you drag the file and it else. You know the mic, say, I say the mic.
You guys have yours moving?
We have put it like right.
Wait, try it.
Because when you do that, you've got to just press left, right, left, right, left, right.
Does it?
It looks solid.
Shouldn't do. The thing is that if you've not dragged it onto it, so you need to download, re-download it again. Yeah. And then drag it back onto your microphone and unplug it.
How do you mean? Drag it on?
Yeah, so you should show them part folder. Like someone else is controlling yours.
Changing battery?
You set the radio signal to 1. That's why. You're controlling their camera, yeah?
We've not touched it.
I mean, yeah, I was just saying.
No, I've changed it now. It's fine. That's working.
Yeah.
So you try it.
Yeah, so
Someone else has got theirs in here, I think.
What radio signal is running?
Small through it, doesn't matter.
It's like 1 Have you got your
Do you mind if I just borrow your battery? 2 seconds.
Right. You want to be very radio signals, otherwise you won't be controlling each other's.
Right.
You set routes 5, but both.
But then
We can't.
That's not working. It's got no battery pack.
But you need to do all this.
In order just to get it to say YMCA.
Like you just program it.
Just want to download that.
You've actually done
And it works. It's fine on your bot as well. Back on your bot.
How do you get it?
Well, there's no.
Okay.
It's fine. So you download that, you can put that on set.
It's not a
guys got one working?
Yeah.
Okay, do you guys want to join this team and bring your car back this way? Because